So now we're going to kind of go over to the intelligence agency side. So this is where I think stuff gets really, really interesting, but also like it starts to like depress you. So what did America know at this time, and how much did we know, and from whom did we know? So it is a fact that the CIA, Mossad, and the Lebanese Secret Service informed American counterparts like as early as 2000 or even earlier. There were also people such as the Russians, the Germans, and MI6 that gave a lot of this intel to America, but it wasn't first priority. So, and obviously, as we know too, we said this earlier, the FBI was alerted by these flight instructors, or by the flight instructors about the 9/11 hijackers in Florida.
Yeah.
So it was actually interesting. Once again, in this Looming Tower movie or TV series, it goes to show that this guy Michael Scheuer actually ended up getting fired because he kept saying he's like, we have to go after Bin Laden. We have to either kill him or we have to flip him. And basically, he was so like gung ho on that he ended up getting fired and taken off Alex Station. So this new guy replaces him. This guy Richard Blee, and he and. But once again, it's just the confirmation of they knew that these attacks were going to happen, but they didn't know where, apparently. And it was coming from everywhere. And so, I mentioned Jamar al-Fadl. He was the defector, the first defector of al-Qaeda that gives all this information to us. And we paid him like $1 million like as an asset to learn this information. And then we brought him to America and put him in a safe house. But once he gave us this information, like we couldn't build off of any of it. So this is one interesting thing is that this guy Richard Clark that I mentioned earlier, who's like the guy that like brings all this intelligence to the president essentially. So he is one of the rare guys in government that I think has ever taken responsibility or accountability for what is going on. So what was something else that like you guys learned when you were researching this about the intelligence agencies and the communication between the FBI, CIA?
I thought the coordination, the communication was very poor, very bad between the agencies. And I understand like no one knows fully what's going on, but there needs to be like they need to get on all the same page when there's an event like this, right?
It's fucking unacceptable.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. They need to get on the same page, and they need to make coordinated efforts to, limit this from happening again. Because even if I don't believe a conspiracy, they definitely could have done more to stop something like this.
Yeah.
What if they, just looked a little bit more into the Al Qaeda, see their doings, their plans. Maybe they wouldn't uncover this, but they could uncover something similar that was about to happen, and then they could, keep researching, keep going down that line. I just don't think they were caring about it enough. But
yeah,
I'm speaking from my perspective, 24 years after the fact.
Of course.
So I don't know. I just don't know how it was perceived back then.
Dan?
Well, I don't really have much to say on that. But the scale of misinformation was just insane. It's right now and at the time too. So,
are you talking about misinformation like perceived terrorist attacks, even though they're not real? People just spewing information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just think it's egregious because I think one of the big reasons I think it was ego.
Yeah.
Because the CIA, they didn't trust the FBI. The FBI didn't trust them. As I said earlier, John O'Neill's like, we are going to capture Bin Laden and we're going to bring him to America. And the CIA is like, we are going to kill him or we're going to flip him to learn more about terrorism. And they refused to share information with them. So this is basically Michael Scheuer, the head of Alex Station, and his comments on John O'Neill. Okay, ready? Here we go. This is actually, I found this through Reddit, but this is a legitimate
Reddit's legitimate. Find all sorts of stuff on there.
Sure do.
Oh, this guy looks serious.
This is, like I said, this was the... Dan, this is appalling.
John O'Neill, who was the FBI chief of counterterrorism, you had this to say about him. Mr. O'Neill was interested only in furthering his career and disguising the rank and competence of senior FBI leaders. Yes, sir. I think I also said that the only good thing that happened to America on 11 September was that the building fell on him, sir.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
This guy.
Holy sh! Is he serious?
Yeah, that is a real video. That's why I kept bringing this up. Because that is a perfect example. That is what was happening between these two agencies, man. Honestly.
Also, Ben, on John O'Neill in this book, there's a couple people in here who had interactions with him on the day of September 11th, and basically one, I think it was a police officer. He ran in and he's like, "John, what's going?" Because John works security.
So John O'Neill got kicked off the FBI.
He got kicked off the
as well.
FBI and was working security at the World Trade Center. So this police officer runs in and he's like, "John, what's going on?" And John looks at him. He's like, "You know what's going on." So he
What?
Yeah. He knew, dude. He's one of the only guys that like knew how severe this thing was before it happened.
Because he died because not of the initial impact, because the towers literally fell on him.
Fell on him because he was running around telling
I
people.
don't know
saving
how I
people.
didn't piece that together.
Yeah.
Also, like, why would he choose to work there? Like, did he know? Like, out of all the places to work.
It's a coincidence, isn't it? It's a strange coincidence.
I think that was unfortunately, yeah.
Well, it's also a coincidence the leaseholder wasn't there the one time.
Yeah. So just a couple more things, and I think we're probably going to get to the horrors of Ground Zero and then the conspiracy theory. So once again, with all these intelligence agencies and whatever, so I think one of the really impressive narratives about 9/11 is that this guy Omar al-Bayoumi, so he was a Saudi agent that was in America that recruited al-Midhar and al-Hazmi, who were part of the 9/11 hijackers. And so there was a 50-50 chance that the intelligence agencies have said later on that he knew about the attacks. And so these two hijackers, they stayed with al-Bayoumi. He covered their rent for the first few months because they were here for months beforehand. They, like I said, this was all happening in San Diego. If the FBI had been alerted to this, they would have had the ability to apprehend and prosecute them.
Yeah.
But once again, the CIA was trying to flip these two guys to figure out what was going on.
Right.
And so I think it makes me like really, really mad. And so, between 1997 and 1999, the CIA, through Alex Station, through that guy Michael Shore, had 10 chances to kill or capture bin Laden. But a lot of the times, like under Clinton, they were very hesitant because they couldn't fully confirm that he was actually there. They're like, the percentage of this is like 80-20, but if we're wrong, we're going to kill like a ton of civilians and whatever. And there was an actual strike that happened where they thought it was bin Laden, and it was like a pharmaceutical plant.
Oh yeah.
I forget what it was called. The FBI also, according to Michael Shore, was the minimally intelligent organization.
Have you read the book Disconnecting the Dots?
No.
It's about the CIA and FBI and how they enabled this to happen.
Send it to me, man. Send it to me.
Disconnecting the dots.
So guys, another thing too, this is you can learn a lot more about Omar al-Bayoumi. This is a video that has now been declassified, but this is he was in Washington D.C. in 2000. I think this was about around 2000. This is like a year or so beforehand, and he's in Washington D.C. speaking in Arabic, pointing out, "Oh, beloved, esteemed brothers, a greeting to you from Omar al-Bayoumi. We welcome you from Washington, the American capital city. And we come back once more to this building." Just a super creepy video. This is through 60 minutes. "I will provide you with the results soon. I will get over there and I will report to you in detail what is there." So it's fully known that he was an agent for Saudi Arabia. The question is if he was, if he knew about the attacks. And like I said, the FBI. So he ended up, I think he self-deported back to Saudi Arabia. So it's one thing after another, and like I said, with this stuff, man, it gets exhausting. It really does. And so this is I'm going to show this one other clip before we get to the conspiracy theories. But this is from John Kiriakou. John Kiriakou was a CIA guy that actually was a whistleblower on the torture program, and so he's talking about Cofer Black.
2001. I remember it like it was yesterday. I had a visiting delegation.
All right, minute 6:05.
And he says something terrible.
This is Cofer Black.
Happen. We don't
Him
know
talking.
exactly what, and we don't know where, but we know it's going to be something on a scale that we've never seen before. He said we're picking up chatter with code words for a massive attack. There's going to be a great soccer match. They're all codes for an attack. He said, we're hearing Al-Qaeda camp commanders talking to their students, and they're crying on the phone and saying, I'll see you in paradise. So he said, I beg you, gentlemen, if you have any sources inside Al-Qaeda, please help us. And they all just sat there. Because they weren't focused on Al-Qaeda either. Right. So at the end of the day, I took him back to the hotel. There were a few hours we had before dinner.
Almost done.
And I went back to Kofer's office to thank him. And I said, Kofer, I got to ask you, was that just for their benefit, or were you serious? He said, oh, I'm deadly serious. He said, something terrible is going to happen. I said, that briefing scared the hell out of me. Well, that was July 6th, September 11th. It happens. And I said there was a guy I sat next to, a really great guy. I said, this is what he was talking about in July. This is it. The thing is we never expected it to happen here. We expected maybe another American embassy someplace, a U.S. military base.
So you get the idea. So there's just overwhelming, confirming narratives of, oh, something's going to happen. We don't know where it's coming from. So I just don't know. I don't know what to think of at times. So, anyways, so more to move on to some more happier things. So the horrors of Ground Zero.